Good morning. Good Sunday morning, everybody. Julie Hirschberg and Allie Elder here. And we had our brains just so full yesterday.
Yes.
And we got to share a little bit with you and have our special guest, James Finley, which was awesome. But we wanted to share a few other things that we learned yesterday. And the morning started out with quite a bit on Parkinson's and kind of good news, bad news types of things, and a lot of things that are coming out from animal models. They use a lot of rats, and but has a direct implication to what we do as physical therapists and how we understand recovery in the disease. So one of the really cool things, and a term I just hadn't really heard, was something that Jeff Beeler shared, and it was called learning bradykinesia or learned bradykinesia. So this idea that once somebody has Parkinson's, they may have this maladaptive neuroplasticity where they have some bradykinetic movement, some slow movement, but then are practicing it to where it becomes a pattern and it's learned, and they actually unlearn this beautiful movement that they had their whole life. And so this to me was just like, oh my gosh, such an interesting concept, because this is really where, even if we don't change the disease process, and this could be, he used the Parkinson's model, but I think it actually goes well for MS, for stroke, really any neurologic disease. Even if we can't change that actual process, we can halt, stop, slow down this learning process where you are adapting and using some compensations that are good for the short term, but not for the long term. And so we can intervene and pick those up early on and stop that part of the process from happening. And they have shown that in their models, this can cause a huge improvement in movement, even when there is still a depletion of dopamine, for example. So stopping or halting this learned bradykinesia, that's something that I'm taking home, and that's what's going on in my brain as I think about the interventions and the things that we do, is how can we stop and halt that from happening. And that fit really nicely in with a talk by Charlie, let me get his name right, Meschel. He is in Oregon at OHSU, and I also got to have dinner with him and his wife last night. Really wonderful people. All these people are really great. And he also was like, good news, bad news, when they've been looking at these models again in rats. So we're extrapolating really far. I know we're not rats. But this is the basic science research that is going on right now, the latest and greatest. They saw that with exercise, there wasn't really a change in that dopamine cell. And I know that I spoke to one of our clients just last week who was really disheartened when he heard this. Like, there's no change in that dopamine cell. And he was like, but I'm doing all this exercise. Why am I doing this? Well, there is a reason. So even if there's not a change in the dopamine cell, they are seeing a ton of other changes, and those are changes in dopamine transporters. There are changes in glutamate transporters. There's changes in an inflammatory response. So all cellular level neuroplastic changes. They're just not at that cell site. So I think that's really exciting, that indeed exercise is causing some of these changes. They're not at that specific dopamine producing cell, but they're at other levels. And most importantly, they are causing changes in the behavior. So running better, doing tasks better, gripping better, all of these cool tasks that they do with rats. But that is what we really think about too. Again, when we're exercising, like when Allie's leading exercise class, when we're doing specific things one-on-one with people, is that we know brain changes are happening. They might not be, at least at this point, they haven't shown that it's at that dopamine producing cell, but it's at a lot of other cells, and it's causing changes in movement and life, which is so important. So those were two big take homes that I had from yesterday.
Thanks so much for recapping the morning. So in the evening, we got to also hear from George Salem about the benefits of golf and how bringing attention to the aspects of the ACSM guidelines and how golf really has the impact of addressing all those areas. I mean, it has that aerobic component of walking the golf course. It has the agility aspect of having to put the ball on the tee, and it has that power and strength of taking a golf swing. So the benefits of that fit all of our exercise guidelines, not only in that, but they also have that social aspect of, you know, going with your friends and you look forward to it, and some days are better than others, but you're still kind of going for that skill-based activity. So bringing kind of a really good attention to that, and his work at the West LA VA is really awesome, looking at the impacts of golf in older adults. So we were really excited to hear about that. We're all going to be doing some golfing next week. And we also got to hear about the importance of how we are learning and how we process these things. And we had an awesome performance of a poetry piece that talked about how the iambic pentameter is really kind of a way that we learn things, and that's how things like Shakespeare become so powerful, as we have this rhythm, and it resonates with our brain, and it really makes these neuroplastic changes easier when there's rhythm to things, and when there's things that are these rhythmicities that are really important to have. So we're going to kind of take those takeaway points and try to implement those in all of our physical therapy aspects and even in daily life. So it was so great to hear about all of these benefits and what we can actually do to bring back to our patients. So thanks so much for listening, and
yeah, we're really excited to get back in the clinic next week. And I just think to be here, we forgot to say at the beginning, we're at the UCLA Arrowhead Retreat Center for this neuroplasticity retreat, and it brings together researchers from USC, UCLA, Poland, across the country, Indiana, and a performing artist who's part of the USC School of Cinematic Arts. So where else do you get to talk poetry and neuroscience? And then for us, we really think about the clinicians we work with and the patients we work with, and how we can use this to help change lives. So it is a really awesome opportunity. This is the last day, actually, and it's been amazing and beautiful up here in Lake Arrowhead. And hopefully we'll have one more Facebook Live at the end of today, because we have a packed morning. And
yes.
And we will see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.